What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share the video. Hit the join button and become a member. Wow! Where members get exclusive content. Hit the bell icon on my channel so that you will receive a notification every time that I drop a video, and you can go and check the video out. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Let's jump right into it. This is the story of Cameron Terrell, aka Milk, from West Side neighborhood rolling 90s Crip. A white boy who found himself in South Central Los Angeles accused of a brutal murder. Many say that he got away with that murder and it caused outrage around the country. Cameron Terrell was raised in Palos Verdes, California, on the outskirts of South Central Los Angeles. When you think of South Central Los Angeles, you think of a gang-infested neighborhood, gang-infested city, full of crime and poverty. But just on the outskirts of South Central Los Angeles, you have Calabasas, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, and Palos Verdes, rich parts of Los Angeles. Cameron Terrell was raised in Palos Verdes by his mother, Deborah Terrell, who was an interior designer with a wealthy list of wealthy clients. His father, Donald Terrell, was the president of a news company. They were bringing in the dough. They lived in a 4,000 square foot home in Palos Verdes worth upwards of $2 million. Cameron Terrell, he attended Palos Verdes, the prestigious Palos Verdes High School, well known for their academics. He was doing well in school, and by all accounts, everything in his household at first was going fine. As Cameron Terrell began to grow, he became a bit wayward. He got into it with his mother and father constantly. This, some say, led to him ended up in South Central Los Angeles. It's unclear how he connected with the 9-0 Crips. Some say it was through drugs. Some say that it was through social media. Either way, he met a young black dude that lived in the 9-0s. This young black dude eventually became a 9-0 Crip. They convinced him to go ahead and get put on the neighborhood. He was so close with Cameron that he convinced Cameron and others as well, convinced Cameron to join the rolling 9-0 neighborhood Crips as well. Cameron, he agreed to join, and he was all in, doing illicit drugs and putting in work for the rolling 9-0 Crips. Cameron was building a name. They called him Bright Eyes, white boy, and sometimes they just called him Milk. Cameron, he was all in. He got the W tattooed on his chest, which stood for Western Ave, the street of the rolling 9-0 Crips. The neighborhood Crips in general claim Western Avenue. And they get the W tattooed on their face and other parts of their body to illustrate the fact that they claim Western Avenue. Cameron Terrell got the same tattoo. He found himself in music videos called the Neighborhood Anthem, where the neighborhoods got together and they rapped and disrespected their opposition. You can see Cameron Terrell there in the videos with a blue rag hanging from around his neck. He's a part of the gang and he's all in. On October 1st, 2017, Cameron and two young people got into Cameron's black Mercedes-Benz. Cameron had got the black Mercedes-Benz from his rich mother and father. They drove up 78th Street towards Western. Walking up 78th and Western was Justin Holmes and two other young black kids. someone from the black sedan got out of the car and opened fire on Justin Holmes. The two people who were with Justin Holmes, they ran. Justin Holmes was shot twice. And the police got there and rushed him to the hospital, and he was pronounced dead. Everyone was scrambling, trying to figure out what had happened and why was Justin shot. The police did an investigation to find out the motivation for the shooting. They found through their investigation that Justin Holmes nor the two people that were with him were involved in gangs at all. They were not gang members whatsoever. In fact, Justin Holmes was a college student who worked for U-Haul. He had just happened to be off from work that day and decided to hang out with a couple of his friends. When two people in a black Mercedes sedan jumped out and opened fire. One of the people who was with Justin Holmes was able to identify the shooter. But the police went door to door. They swept the area looking for more witnesses, trying to understand the tragedy that had just transpired. There in South Central Los Angeles, people don't like talking to the police. So the police were not getting much traction. And then they noticed a camera nearby. They hunted down the camera's owner and told him they needed the recording of the video. The owner of the camera released the footage to the officers, and there in the footage, the police officers saw a familiar black Mercedes-Benz on the street corner and two people running to the Mercedes-Benz and jumping in and speeding off. The police, they were familiar with Cameron because he used to hang out at Jesse Owens Park, the Rolling 9-0's stronghold. This is where they hang out, have gang meetings and gang activity at Jesse Owens Park. The police were familiar with Cameron and his car, and they recognized his car on the video. Not long after, they went and arrested Cameron Terrell for the murder of Justin Holmes on October 17th. Also on October 17th, after they arrested Cameron Terrell, they arrested his two crimees, the two people who were with him in the sedan. How they got that information about those two individuals, I don't know. Again, one person did point them out in the lineup, but they didn't know exactly who they were until they had arrested Cameron Terrell. At any rate, they were all locked up, and Cameron Terrell's bail was set at $5 million. These were very serious charges. He was charged with murder, premeditated murder, and 2 attempted murders for the other 2 people who were with Justin Holmes at the time. The police said, and the prosecution said, that it was premeditated because they had drove over there looking to unalive someone. Cameron spent just maybe a week in jail before his family came up with $500,000 to put down on the $5 million bail. Cameron Terrell was out of jail. But he was being shunned, and so was his family, by the Palos Verdes community. Well, they did not want someone accused of murder inside of their school or in their community. People stopped doing business with his family, and Cameron eventually had to leave the high school and start doing his homework and his schooling at home. But Cameron, he was fighting the case, out on bail and fighting the case of this murder and 2 attempted murders from the street. His family hired a prestigious attorney named Javon Newhill. And he put up a defense in court saying that Cameron was indeed inside of the Mercedes-Benz when the shooting took place. But that Cameron had no idea that the 2 people that he were with was going to do a shooting. He thought, so said the attorney, Cameron thought that these 2 individuals are just going to pull up and spray paint on the wall, tag a wall inside of A-Tray Gangster's neighborhood, which is where they were at. And when he heard the gunshots, he was shocked, appalled, and astonished, was Cameron. He had no idea that these two individuals were going to get out and open fire on anyone. And when they ran back to the Mercedes-Benz, he sped off out of fear, out of survival, not trying to get away with a crime. He said that Cameron was a good kid and had just been influenced by gang members, and that Cameron should be found not guilty of this crime because it was not premeditated. He didn't get out of the car, and he had no idea about what was about to transpire. The prosecution disputed this. The prosecution showed footage of Cameron with his tattoos, of Cameron in gang videos throwing up gang signs and claiming 9-0 Crip. They also showed a video that Cameron took a recording of two people kicking over the candles of Justin Holmes, the memorial of Justin Holmes, the person that was unalived by the two people who were with Cameron. If this was an accident and mistake and you didn't know that it was about to happen and you're remorseful, why are you recording two people kicking over his vigil? Why are you making a mockery of the death that you helped to cause if you are remorseful? Either way, the die was set and the cast was in. The jury deliberated, for 1 week, and they came back with a not guilty verdict for Cameron Terrell. Cameron Terrell gave a statement outside of the courtroom.
Peace, Justin Holmes. He shouldn't have died that day, and I pray for his family every night. This been weighing on me every single day of my life. I don't have to explain myself to anyone. God knows what really happened that day, and God knows what was in my head that day.
He says it's no one's business, that God knows what happened in the car that day. The other two individuals that was with Cameron Terrell, their names were not released because they were under the age of 18. Cameron was indeed 18 at the time, so his name was released. People were outraged with the verdict, saying, how come the white guy who was accused of killing an innocent young black man who was not a gang member was found not guilty, but his two crimees, his two cohorts, were still in jail fighting for their life? There was no question that Cameron was in the car and the driver. He had never denied that. He just said that he did not know what was about to transpire. I can make that same claim with every crime. They say that he was under the influence of black culture, of gang culture, and that he had just lost his wits for a minute, but that he was a good kid raised by a good family and deserved to go home. The jury agreed again and found Cameron Terrell not guilty, while the other two sat in there fighting for their very lives. That's the story of Cameron Terrell, white boy milk from rolling 9-0 Crip, who found himself in South Central Los Angeles after disputes with his family in Palos Verdes, and then found himself on the wrong side of the law in a courtroom accused of premeditated murder and 2 attempted murders, and yet ultimately found himself a free man. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you or me have been found not guilty in the same situation? I'll be back. And in the meantime, stay free, people.